Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing episode 1 of Girls Planet 999. So basically, if you don't know, Girls Planet is this show made by Mnet where basically 33 Korean, 33 Chinese, and 33 Japanese trainees are all competing for 9 spots in a debut group. So this video would just be me talking about my thoughts and opinions from the first episode, and just some quick disclaimers before we get into the video. I am in no way trying to influence you guys on who to vote for or anything like that. And obviously this is just my opinion, but we all already know that, so let's get into the video. Okay, so part 1 is changes from Produce. If you don't know, Produce 101 was basically this series that Mnet had from 2016 to 2019, where 101 trainees would compete for around 11 spots in a debut group. And since that went down in flames 2 years ago, they haven't really made another show that's so clearly like Produce. So I thought it would be interesting to kind of notice what's changed, because they are different shows. So I think that Mnet has kind of taken what they've learned from Produce and applied it to Girls Planet. Hopefully that includes not rigging the votes, but we'll see. Anyway, so the first big change was that there's Chinese, Japanese, and Korean trainees. There's always been foreign trainees in the show, but it was never part of the concept. It just sort of happened that way. So I really like that, because there's this show that I like called Youth with You, and it's pretty much the Chinese version of Produce, but it's not officially affiliated. And all the girls on there are super talented, and I find that show really entertaining. So I like that they're bringing in the talent from there to the show. So yeah, I just think it's cool. And the next one is the theme song. So typically, the first episode, or the first 2 or so episodes of Produce are what we see in this first episode, where it's them doing their audition. And then the first thing that they do after that is they do the theme song. And I really like that, because I think it shows the girls' true colors in a way, because almost anybody can work on a performance for months and months and make it good. But when you're forced to think on your feet and learn choreography and learn a completely new song, then it really shows your worth ethic and how dedicated you are, especially since they have to perform by themselves, so they don't really have a group to sort of cushion them. So yeah, it kind of makes me sad, because I feel that's a really good way for them to show off their skills. But I don't know, it does make me excited to see what the first mission is going to be this time. So we'll see. And the last one, this is kind of small, but I do think it's important. Typically at this stage, they would give out rankings A, B, C, D, whatever. But this time they did top 9 instead, which I like. That's actually something that they did in mixnine also, where it was constantly the top 9 people, and it was always fluctuating, and then whoever was in the top 9 at the end got to debut. But in this one, they're kind of doing the same thing, and I like that more than the ABCD thing, because after the second round, it literally doesn't even matter. They just kind of move on, and then it becomes more about rankings than the grades. So the grades never really carry over. So I like that they're just cutting out that part and going straight to the ranking, even if it is based on the trainers instead of votes from the beginning. So yeah, those are just some things that I noticed. I don't know if I'm going to keep this section in my future videos, because it'll probably just go on being its own thing, but I just thought it'd be interesting to think about the first things that I was thinking as the show was going on. On to part 2, which was my favorite performances. So there were a lot of good moments and good people, but there were 2 performances that overall just really made me say wow, that was good. The first one was Kick It. Oh my gosh, I just love this one, because from the moment the music started, both of the girls were so focused, and they just captured the essence of the song so well, and they were so focused, and it was just so good. They were able, the judges mentioned that Kick It was a really hard song, and they made it look so easy. With the rapping, the singing, the dancing, they balanced it all so well. They didn't sound out of breath at all. It was just really solid, and I think it showed off both of their skills. Like I said, it covered a lot of ground. It showed that they had stage presence, and that they could be dynamic almost, because their actual personalities were very different from what they showed. So I just loved that. And the second one that I really liked was Boombaya. So before they even started performing, all of the girls were like, oh my gosh, Produce 48 Boombaya. And I have no comment about that performance. But back to this one, it was really good, because I think all of the girls individually shined. You have the girl in the white who was doing some sub vocal parts, but she was also rapping really well. You had the girl in the black who was doing the main vocal part. And what I really like about her was that she made a mistake. Like she messed up in one part and it was a really tiny mistake. And I feel like she understood that because she kept going and she nailed the high note 2 seconds later. So like she just stayed in it and she kept with it, and like it was amazing either way. So yeah, I just really like that. And I think that what I like about both of these is that they feel very well thought out. Like with some of the other performances, I just don't think they understood the assignment, to put it in like strange terms. But like with both of these, I feel like the companies and or the girls like looked at the people that they had and chose a song that they knew would show off their skills really well. There weren't really parts that sounded awkward or weird. Like they just knew what they were doing. They understood the assignment. So it turned out really well. And particularly with the second group, I feel like their performance had more of an impact because everybody was allowed to shine. Like, yes, Hikaru is the one that everybody's gonna be looking at because she's like the number one Japanese ranked trainee, but because of how well everybody else did, she stands out even more because she can stand out among these good people, if that makes any sense. And I bring that up because this kind of leads me into like part 3, which is miscellaneous, but which leads me into part 3 because Hikaru was good, and I like that she had a lot of lines. When I was watching the other performances, it sort of felt like the people that were getting praised and getting the most attention were kind of like the girls who like were good dancers, yes, but they would only have like one moment of lines. So of course it made them look good when the other 3 to 4 people in their group weren't well suited for their parts, if I'm being completely honest. So they were kind of just struggling through parts that really didn't suit them, and then the person that either the company wanted to shine or just ended up being lucky got to shine because they had a super easy part. And like, I don't know, I say that particularly when I look at like Fancy and the group that had, I don't remember what song they performed, but the group that had like the number one Chinese ranked trainee, just the performance as a whole fell flat. And only the girl that was ranked really high and everybody knew about stood out because she had like a sort of quote unquote easier part. And I'm not saying that to say that they didn't put in as much work as everyone else. I'm just saying like it doesn't really feel fair to the other girls. Anyway, that's just my opinion. And also one thing that I like about Boombayah is that I feel like it like restored the honor in a way of the Japanese trainees, because during Produce it was just very clear that there were different standards between the Korean and Japanese trainees, which like sounds bad, but it's like true in a way. And but the thing is that it wasn't really a good representation of Japanese trainees as a whole because they were all from AKB48. So this is just one specific way that like AKB like trains, quote unquote, their girls, or really like lack thereof. And I don't know, it just sort of made them seem not as good, or at least not on the same standard. Like they hadn't learned the same things as the Korean girls. So now that we're in Girls Planet and it's not just AKB48, like you kind of have the opportunity to have girls that are closer to their level because they're maybe training for different styles or just set up in different ways. So I really like that, and I think the show kind of like makes them more promising in a way. And yeah, so the last thing that I want to say is like normally I would mention like my picks and stuff, but I don't really have picks as of right now. The only people that I really like are like Yujin, Hikaru, and like a couple of the girls that I know from Youth with You. But other than that, I don't really have official picks. So hopefully when we get to the next episode, I will have some picks and I'll kind of talk about why I like them and all that stuff. But yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.